Pentagon, Strategy Planning Division, 0900 hours. Does she even speak English? Colonel Marcus Webb didn't bother lowering his voice. Around the conference table, 6 officers shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Major Elena Stern didn't react. She sat at the far end of the table, notebook open, pen in hand, eyes steady, watching, listening, silent. She had been silent for 6 months. Not a word, not one. The pattern was always the same. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 0900 hours sharp. Same faces, same questions, same silence. Major Stern, any input on the Kandahar logistics? Elena would look up, make eye contact, shake her head slightly, small professional smile. Then back to her notebook, always writing, always watching, never speaking. At first they thought she was shy, a brilliant strategist they'd heard, but maybe intimidated by the Pentagon brass. Then they thought she was overwhelmed. Special Forces planning was complex. Maybe she was in over her head. By month 3, they decided she was incompetent, a diversity hire, someone's niece, political favor. Take your pick. Colonel Webb made it his personal joke. Gentlemen, place your bets. Will Major Stern bless us with actual words today, or just more mysterious scribbling? Laughter. Not from everyone, but enough. Webb was 45, West Point, 3 deployments, Pentagon insider, the kind of officer who believed success was measured in decibels. If you weren't talking, you weren't contributing. You know what they say, Webb continued, leaning back in his chair. If you want a seat at the table, you have to speak up. Otherwise, you're just furniture. More laughter. Elena kept writing. Her pen moved in steady, controlled strokes. She had excellent penmanship, every letter precise, every observation documented. She had 23 notebooks now, filed by date, cross-referenced by subject, 6 months of meetings, 6 months of listening, 6 months of learning exactly who these men really were. Week 26, November 14th, the day everything changed. The meeting was tense. The Afghanistan withdrawal was 3 months behind schedule. Equipment failures, budget overruns, conflicting intelligence reports, fingers pointing in every direction except where they belonged. Colonel Webb slammed his briefing folder on the polished conference table. We are bleeding time and money. Kandahar logistics are a disaster. Our training budget is hemorrhaging, and half this room acts like they're on vacation. His eyes swept the table, landed on Elena. You, his voice dropped to something dangerous. Major Stern, you have been assigned to this division for 6 months. You have said maybe 10 words total. What exactly do you do here? Elena looked up, met his gaze, calm, unblinking. She said nothing. Webb's face flushed red. He stood, chair scraping against the floor. This is exactly what is wrong with the modern military. You want respect? Speak up. You want to advance? Earn it. You want to be taken seriously? He leaned across the table toward her. Then contribute something, anything, or get out of my conference room and make space for someone who actually has the spine to do the job. The room held its breath. Elena's pen stopped moving. For the first time in 6 months, she closed her notebook. She stood, slowly, deliberately, and then she wasn't in the Pentagon anymore. The fluorescent lights became harsh desert sun. The air conditioning hum morphed into the rhythmic thump of diesel generators. She tasted dust and cardboard MRE coffee. Forward Operating Base Salerno, Afghanistan, 2018, spring. Elena was 28 then, junior intelligence officer, 3 months in country. Her commander, Lieutenant Colonel Hayes, pulled her aside before the meeting. We're meeting with tribal elders, suspected Taliban sympathizers. You're there to observe only. Sit, look respectful, don't speak unless directly questioned. They don't expect much from female officers anyway. The meeting room was stifling. 12 men, all armed, AK-47s leaning against mud brick walls. The smell of chai tea and sweat and gun oil thick in the air. Elena sat in the corner, hands folded, head slightly bowed. For 6 hours she sat. The men talked, argued, laughed, made crude jokes they assumed she couldn't understand. They were wrong. Elena spoke 5 languages fluently: Pashto, Dari, Arabic,
Urdu, Farsi, but her file listed only English and Spanish, an administrative error she never corrected. She heard everything: attack plans for FOB Chapman, weapons cache coordinates hidden in a village school, names of 40 insurgent cell members, supply routes, communications protocols. She wrote nothing down, said nothing, just sipped her chai tea, just another silent woman in a room full of important men. 3 days later, 40 arrests, 3 weapons caches seized, 0 American casualties. Lieutenant Colonel Hayes stared at her report in disbelief. "How did you... I thought you didn't..." Elena smiled, that same small professional smile. "They thought I was decoration, sir, so I let them." She learned something that day, something the men in that room would never understand. Silence isn't weakness, it's camouflage. She blinked. The Pentagon conference room returned.
Elena walked to the head of the conference table. Every eye in the room followed her. She placed a thick red folder in front of Colonel Webb. He stared at it. "What is this?" "Open it, Colonel." Her voice was quiet, controlled. The first full sentence she'd spoken in 6 months. Webb opened the folder. His face went white. Inside, 6 months of meeting transcripts, annotated, cross-referenced, time-stamped. Every word spoken in this room, every side conversation, every whispered comment they thought she hadn't heard. Webb flipped through pages. His hands started shaking. Page 12, his falsified readiness reports for the Qatar deployment. He'd inflated troop numbers by 30% to secure additional funding. Page 27, leaked classified drone specifications to 3 defense contractors. His brother-in-law worked for one of them. Page 41, training budget discrepancies. $4.2 million over 14 months, funneled through shell consulting firms. All documented, all dated, all with audio file reference numbers. Elena turned to face the entire table. "You asked what I do here, Colonel Webb." She pointed to General Hartley, seated 3 chairs down. "General, August 14th. You reported 92% combat readiness for the 101st Airborne in Qatar. The actual number was 68%. You knew this because Lieutenant Morrison sent you the real figures the night before. You filed false reports anyway." Hartley's jaw clenched. He said nothing. Elena pointed to Colonel Morrison next. "September 3rd. You had lunch with Theodore Vance, VP of Lockheed Defense Systems. You discussed the RQ-170 bid specifications. Those specifications were classified. Mr. Vance's company submitted a matching bid 2 days later. They won the contract." Morrison's face drained of color. She turned to Major Chen. "October 9th. You approved overtime payments for 12 contractors who weren't on site. Your cousin runs the contracting firm. That's fraud, Major." The room was a tomb. Elena picked up the red folder, held it up. "For 6 months, I sat here, silent. While you all talked, I heard everything. Every lie, every corner you cut, every rule you broke." She held up the folder. "You thought silence meant weakness. You were wrong. Silence meant I was listening." She looked at Webb. "You wanted me to speak up, Colonel Webb. You wanted me to contribute. You thought silence meant I had nothing to say." She smiled, that small, professional smile. "You were wrong." The conference room door opened. 2 military police officers entered. Behind them, Lieutenant General Jessica Torres, Inspector General of the United States Army. General Torres walked to the head of the table. Her voice filled the room. "Gentlemen, for the past 6 months, Major Elena Stern has been conducting an internal investigation on my direct orders. Every meeting, every conversation, every document." She picked up the red folder. "Major Stern is a Special Operations Intelligence Officer with 12 years of experience in human intelligence gathering. She has 5 language fluencies. She's conducted 47 covert investigations, and she just spent 6 months proving that this division is riddled with corruption." Torres looked at Webb. "Colonel Marcus Webb, you are hereby relieved of duty pending court-martial for fraud, falsification of military documents, and leaking classified information." The MPs moved toward Webb. Torres continued. Colonel Morrison, Major Chen, you're both suspended pending investigation. General Hartley, the Secretary of the Army will want to speak with you today. Webb stood slowly. His career was over. He knew it. He looked at Elena. This was a setup. Elena met his eyes. No, Colonel. This was an investigation. You set yourself up. I just listened. As the MPs escorted Webb out, General Torres addressed the remaining officers. Let this be a lesson. Loud doesn't mean competent. Quiet doesn't mean weak. Major Stern did more in 6 months of silence than most of you have done in 6 years of talking. She turned to Elena. Major, how long until you have the full report compiled? 72 hours, ma'am. Excellent. Torres smiled. And congratulations, Lieutenant Colonel Stern. Your promotion is effective immediately. The room erupted in murmurs. Elena gathered her 23 notebooks, stacked them neatly, closed the red folder. As she walked to the door, Colonel Hartley spoke up. His voice was bitter. You didn't say a word, not one damn word. Elena stopped, turned. I learned that in Kandahar, General. The enemy reveals everything when they think you're not a threat. She smiled. I just made myself invisible. 3 months later, Colonel Marcus Webb, dishonorably discharged, 2 years military prison. Colonel Morrison, demoted, forced retirement. Major Chen, court-martialed, dishonorable discharge. Colonel Hartley, resigned under pressure, pension reduced. Lieutenant Colonel Elena Stern, promoted, assigned to Pentagon Inspector General's office, leading a team of 12 investigators. At her first meeting in her new role, a young captain nervously asked, Ma'am, any advice for succeeding in this division? Elena opened a new notebook, picked up her pen. She looked at the captain, smiled, and said nothing.